Some cop came in here the other day asking about you. Big black dude, bald, looked pissed off. What did he say? Told us you were a fraudster, that you scammed people and we should be careful around you. I was so angry. First the gay rumors, and now he's going around calling me a fraudster. I did nothing to this man. He was trying to ruin my life so badly. Did he say anything else? Just that you were bad news and that we should keep an eye on you whenever you come here. This was beyond harassment. This was a character assassination. Everywhere I went, I felt eyes on me. People who used to greet me with a smile were suddenly avoiding eye contact. Conversations would stop when I walked into a room. A couple of my neighbors who used to chat with me in passing now kept their distance. I've never had a problem with black people. I grew up in a diverse neighborhood, went to school with all kinds of people, and never once had an issue. So when I found out my new neighbor was a black police officer, I thought it was a good thing. Having a cop next door had to be a plus, right? I figured he'd be a decent guy, someone who'd look out for the neighborhood. I was wrong. The first time I saw him, he was getting out of his car, still in uniform. He was a tall, muscular guy with a shaved head and a stern face. His badge was boldly on display, and I thought, well, this guy's probably got a lot of interesting stories to tell. I smiled, walked up with my hand outstretched, and said, "Hey man, I'm Daniel. Just wanted to introduce myself. I live next door." "The hell do you want?" His tone was harsh, like I'd done something to offend him. Nothing. Just saying hi. I like to know my neighbors." "Figures. White boy like you probably grew up thinking everybody's gotta be friends. You one of them types?" I had no idea what he meant, but his attitude was so openly hostile that I was already regretting walking over. "I just believe in being friendly, man. That's all." "Friendly, huh? That's what they're calling it now? You are a little homosexual or something? Trying to be all nice and cozy with a black man?" "Excuse me?" "You heard me. White boys like you, always trying too hard. Either you are scared of black men or you want to be us. Which one is it?" I was dumbfounded. I had never in my life been spoken to like that for simply greeting someone. "Look, man, I was just trying to be neighborly. If you don't want that, fine." "Yeah, walk away, little punk. Thought I wouldn't see through your act? I know exactly what kind of person you are. Stay in your lane." What? I wanted to respond, but I didn't say anything. It wasn't worth it. I wasn't going to get into an argument with a cop, especially one who seemed like he was itching for a fight. I went back inside, still stunned by the encounter. Who the hell did this guy think he was? I had never seen someone so openly aggressive for no reason. And the worst part? He was a police officer. The kind of guy who had power, who could ruin someone's life with the flick of a pen. Something told me this wasn't going to be the last time I had trouble with Officer Malik Carter. And I was right. At first, I thought I could ignore him. I figured he was just one of those people who had a chip on his shoulder, and if I stayed out of his way, he'd do the same. I was wrong. Officer Malik Carter made it his personal mission to make my life miserable. It started with the stairs. Anytime I stepped outside, whether I was heading to work, taking out the trash, or just getting my mail, he'd be there, leaning against his car, arms crossed, watching me with a smirk. Like he was daring me to say something. Then, the rumors started about me being a homosexual and a pedophile. He told everyone who cared to listen to him. It didn't stop there. One day when I stepped outside, my stomach sank further. My car was gone. I called the towing company, thinking it was a mistake. The guy on the phone chuckled. "Oh, that's no mistake, buddy. A police officer reported your car abandoned and suspicious. It's impounded now. You'll need to pay a hefty fine to get it back." And the worst part? Malik wasn't done yet. That same day, my landlord called. His voice was tight, formal. "Daniel, I've received complaints. I can't have troublemakers in my building. You have 4 weeks to find a new place. You can't do this. I didn't do anything. Not my problem. Your lease is terminated." I was being kicked out of my own home. A few days later, I was grabbing lunch at my usual spot, a small cafe just a few blocks from my office. A barista named Evan, who had been serving me for years, gave me a strange look when I walked in. "Hey man, got a second?" "Yeah, what's up?" "Some cop came in here the other day asking about you. Big black dude, bald, looked pissed off." "What did he say?" "Told us you were a fraudster, that you scammed people and we should be careful around you." I was so angry. First the gay rumors, and now he's going around calling me a fraudster? I did nothing to this man. He was trying to ruin my life so badly. Did he say anything else? Just that you were bad news and that we should keep an eye on you whenever you come here. This was beyond harassment. This was a character assassination. Everywhere I went, I felt eyes on me. People who used to greet me with a smile were suddenly avoiding eye contact. Conversations would stop when I walked into a room. A couple of my neighbors who used to chat with me in passing now kept their distance. And every time I ran into Malik, he made sure I knew exactly who was responsible. What's up, Danny boy? People talking yet? Man like you should watch where he walks. Never know when people might stop trusting you. Oh, heading to work. They still got you there? Surprising, considering your reputation. It was even worse because he would say it loudly. I wanted to fight back. I wanted to scream at him, to tell everyone the truth. But I knew how this worked. He was a cop. If I caused a scene, he'd twist it, make me look like the bad guy. I had to be smart, because one way or another, Officer Malik was going to pay for what he was doing to me. Then one morning, I woke up to find my street filled with whispers. Neighbors who had already turned against me were now looking at me with disgust and horror. And then I saw it. Flyers. Someone had printed out hundreds of them and plastered them all over my neighborhood. My face was on them, along with the words, "Beware, violent predator in your community." I ripped one off a wall and felt my blood boil. The flyer claimed I had attacked an elderly man and assaulted a child. It was all lies. And at the bottom, in bold letters, was my full name, address, and phone number. Malik had doxed me. It got worse when he took it to my workplace. I found out what he'd done from a colleague at work. We had a club meeting after office hours, so I couldn't leave early. When I finally got a chance to check my phone, I saw a message from a friend. "Dude, what did you do to that cop? He's telling people you force yourself on men." He told one of his fellow officers, "That guy is friends with my brother, said you're some predator who gets guys drunk and takes advantage of them. He says you're also a thief, and he's waiting for the right time to put you behind bars." Bro, this is bad. I was so angry. It wasn't enough for him to spread lies about me being a fraudster and a homosexual. Now he's making plans to put me behind bars? I didn't even have time to react properly. My company's meeting went on longer than expected, and I couldn't just storm out. I needed my job, and causing a scene wouldn't help. So I forced myself to sit through it. By the time I finally got out, I was still furious. When I finally got home, I saw him. Officer Malik was standing by his patrol car, leaning against it like he had no care in the world. He was chatting with someone on the phone, laughing loudly, like he hadn't just tried to destroy my reputation a few hours ago. Something inside me snapped. I didn't care that he was a cop. I didn't care that I'd probably regret it later. I marched straight over to him. "You got something to say to me, officer?" "Well, look who it is. What do you want?" "You know damn well what I want. Why the hell are you spreading those lies about me?" "You should watch your tone, boy." "Or what? You gonna run around telling more people your little stories? Maybe say I'm a serial killer next? What's wrong with you? Why do you hate me so much when I never even offended you?" "Well, people like you make me sick. Look at you. No muscles. You look sick. You're nothing but a homosexual deceiving people with that accent of yours to make you look cool. Are you crazy? You also have an accent. I'm American. How else do you expect me to sound? Just because I'm not muscular doesn't mean I'm homosexual. You sound so ridiculous. I've done nothing to you. You exist. That's enough." That was it. I had nothing else to say to him because I felt so disgusted. But the second my back was turned, Malik grabbed my wrist, twisted it behind me, and shoved me face first against his car. "You're under arrest." "What the hell? For what?" "Drunk and attempting to attack a cop. And let's add resisting arrest while we're at it." I nearly went crazy. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't even resisting. I didn't try to attack him. He was just desperate to arrest me. Before I knew it, I was in the back of his patrol car, on our way to the station where he locked me up as soon as we got there. I spent 2 days in that filthy holding cell, knowing damn well that I'd done nothing wrong. At first, I thought they'd let me go after a few hours, once they realized Malik had no case against me. But that didn't happen. Instead, the officers on duty ignored me, looking at me like I was something disgusting. They didn't say much at first, but eventually, I overheard them whispering, "That's the guy Malik warned us about. He tried to force himself on Malik? Damn, a fraud too? Man, some people got no shame. I was furious, but what could I do? I was stuck in there with no phone, no lawyer, no way to prove my innocence. I had no idea what he'd written in the report, no clue what kind of charges he was trying to pin on me. Then, on the morning of the third day, one of the officers opened the gates of the cell, and I was released. The moment I walked out of that station, I knew I wasn't letting this go. Malik thought he could abuse his badge, ruin my name, and walk away like nothing happened? Not a chance. I went straight to my father, a civil rights attorney with a reputation for taking down corrupt cops. When I told him what had happened, he didn't even hesitate to tell me we will be suing Malik. Malik had locked me up for 2 days based on nothing but lies. He had falsified charges, slandered me, and abused his power just because he could. My father filed the lawsuit immediately. Investigations started, and the police recovered security footage from my neighborhood. They also found complaints that people had filed against Malik, but the police had previously swept them under the carpet. At first, Malik acted like it was nothing. He walked around the neighborhood like he owned the place, giving me smug looks every time he saw me. But that confidence didn't last long. Once the court summoned him, he realized this wasn't going to be swept under the rug. The trial was brutal. My father dismantled Malik piece by piece, exposing every lie he had told with the evidence gotten from the security cameras, and also some people testimonies. The officers at the station had no choice but to admit they had released me because Malik had no evidence. That alone was enough to damage his credibility. But the turning point came when we got him to confess. In front of the entire courtroom, he admitted to arresting me without cause. He admitted to lying to his fellow officers. He even admitted that he had made up the fraud allegations just to ruin my reputation. And just like that, everything changed. My neighbors, who had believed his lies and had treated me like I was some kind of criminal, suddenly realized what they had done. They were ashamed. People who had ignored me, who had whispered behind my back, now stepped forward to make things right. One by one, they came to out as witnesses. They testified about the things Malik had said, the way he had turned them against me. They admitted they had treated me unfairly, and they made it clear that they didn't want someone like him representing their community. And once the trial started making headlines, the pressure on the system grew. Malik wasn't just facing a lawsuit anymore. The state took action, and he was fired from the force and banned from ever working in law enforcement again. His family and friends were embarrassed and cut ties with him. And when the final verdict came, he wasn't just stripped of his badge, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for falsifying charges, defamation, abuse of power, and misconduct. He was taken out of the courtroom with cuffs on his wrists. For the first time, he wasn't cocky. He wasn't arrogant. He was just a man who had destroyed his own life. I walked out of that courthouse free, my name cleared, and my reputation restored. While Malik was being led out by a couple of police officers, he somehow managed to steal the keys to his handcuffs, unlock himself, and jump onto one of the bikes outside before fleeing. Everyone was shocked at how fast and clever his escape was. News agencies not only reported on Malik's downfall, but now had an even bigger story. A disgraced cop had slipped out of police custody in broad daylight. A massive manhunt began, with helicopters and police cars searching for Malik. But he was nowhere to be found. I was terrified. Weeks passed, and Malik was still missing. Being a former police officer, he knew how the force operated and how to avoid capture. Apparently, he was hiding in the mountains, planning his revenge. Then one night, I received a notification from my home security camera. My heart pounded as I checked the footage. It was Malik, breaking into my house. But I had expected this. Since I knew he was on the run, I had secretly moved to a motel and turned my house into a booby-trapped nightmare. As soon as Malik stepped through the first door, a motion-activated speaker played, "Hey, I see you. Nice try, dummy." He froze. I watched the live footage, laughing from the safety of my motel. Next, he tried to move forward, but the door ahead was locked, trapping him inside. Frustrated, he attempted to break a window, only to realize it was fake, just a realistic painted mural. Then, I activated another trick. A hidden speaker in another room played a deep, menacing growl. Malik knew that I used to own a big dog, and he hesitated, sweating. Was the dog still inside? Would I release it on him? The lights suddenly shut off, plunging the house into darkness. Then, Another pre-recorded voice echoed through the room. Open door number 3. Take the vacuum and start cleaning. Malik stood there, completely confused. Was this a joke? A nightmare? But panic took over, and instead of fighting back, he grabbed the vacuum and started cleaning. I couldn't stop laughing. That's when I called the cops. When the police arrived, they found Malik, the great fugitive, obediently vacuuming my floor. He was arrested on the spot and taken straight to prison, where he belonged. I later went to prison and greeted Malik. When he saw me, he was furious. I looked him in the eye and said, "Enjoy your time here, and remember, you're not a cop anymore, so watch your back." I swear he was terrified. Then I walked out. Later, I heard that Malik was labeled a snitch and became a target for other inmates, which made him constantly paranoid. He sank into depression, and to make matters worse, his cellmate was a serial killer. Malik now lives in constant fear. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more interesting stories.